Hi everyone, Nicholas Papidis here from Sunny Cyprus and welcome to today's tutorial. This is an ICT Cambridge 0417 examination. This is for 2024 June paper 3-1. This is the paper my students took in 2024 June, and you did an absolute amazing job. I'm so proud of all of you. You exceeded your expectations. Didn't exceed my expectations because I did expect you to do really well, but this paper was not so long but tricky at the same time. Now, as always, I solve this paper live. In other words, I don't read the paper, I don't solve it first and then solve it again for the tutorial, because I want to show you my thought process when I'm approaching these papers and the thought process that you should be following. I've only seen this paper when my students were actually doing the exam. Now, taking the time to read the questions and understand the scenario is key in saving time. So, as always, if you're finding these tutorials helpful and they're helping you with your revision for the examinations, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share with other students taking the exam. So, let's get started with this tutorial. Okay, so the first step is we check and make sure we have all the files required for the examination. Now I've got everything here inside this June 2024 3-1 paper. So let's jump over to the question paper. And here we go. So it says here you've been supplied with the following source files. So you need to make sure you've got all those source files. And then you will assist some marine biologists in analyzing data on and raising awareness of the splendid toadfish. This is an endangered species only found in the reefs of Cozumel, Mexico. Now, we need to read this information because this gives us a little bit of a picture of what it is that we're going to be working on. Understanding the scenario is going to help us understand the source files. So, as I said, I'm going to be doing this paper with you guys for the first time so you can see the thinking process. I did have a quick look at the paper because my students actually had this paper for their examination, June 2024. So, not that I remember much, but I do know that in every paper, you need to read that scenario just to get an understanding of what it is you're going to be working on. So the first part is create a new word process document. Make sure your name, center number, candidate number will appear on every page of this document, so it doesn't say where. Save this document in the work area as that, followed by your center number, candidate number, and then, so your center number, candidate, you will use it as your evidence document. Okay, so let's go create that folder first. So file, new. Going to create a Word document. I copied most of that file name already, CY127 and 1234 for my candidate number. We can open this document now. Let's drag this up into the correct screen. There we go. I'm just going to add everything in the header. And then just do a quick save. So there's my evidence document. That's all ready. Okay, next step. Task 2. Now it says open and examine the file J2431 divers. This file will be used in step 2. Do not make any changes to this file. Okay, and then open and examine file J2431 splendid.csv in a spreadsheet. Rows 9 to 32 will show the number of sightings of the splendid toadfish on each reef for 1 week in February. Notice I'm going to read all of this first before I actually open anything up. So this is the number of sightings, the splendid toadfish for each week, 1 week in February. So it's only going to have 1 week's worth of data in there. Rows 35 onwards show the details of all sightings for this week. Place your name, center number, and candidate number left aligned in the footer. Place the automated file name with no file path on the right in the footer. Save this as a spreadsheet with the file name Splendid followed by that. Okay, so for understand, I'm going to open this and examine it. And then this one I'm going to open and examine as well. But this is the one that I'm going to be saving as something else. So I'm going to assume this is going to be my source file for any kind of lookup functions that I may have. Well, let's go have a look at these straight away. So I want to open up J2431 divers. Here it is. And yet that looks like a standard lookup function, a VLOOKUP, because everything's listed vertically. It said don't make any change. I've just expanded the columns. I'm not going to save it. So here I've got something like a name. I don't know what kind of name that is. That's probably the diver because the file name is divers. So it's J2431 divers, years diving. So that's probably their experience, and the type, marine biologist, instructor, dive master. So this is basically their level as a diving expert or whatever. So this is to do with the divers. Let's go open up the other file. The other file is this one. This is probably the one we're going to be working on. Yeah, that looks about right. So again, I'm just going to expand my column. So I'm going to click in the top left corner here to select everything, and double click between two columns. So it basically displays all the data. Okay, and if we just expand that, let's have a look and see what we've got in here. Splendid toadfish sightings, number of sightings in 7-day period. Okay, number of sightings with photograph, number of sightings with photo and GPS. All right, so this is all number of. So I'm assuming these are going to be count functions because this is the number of sightings. How many times was something sighted? So you're going to count that. And then it's got number of sightings again, location with photo and GPS. So these are all the reef names. So these are the reef names, 9 to 32 it said. So there we go. Rows 9 to 32 will show the number of sightings of the splendid toadfish on each reef for 1 week in February. Okay, so if we go over here, these are the reef names from 9 to 32. So these are the reef names, and we're going to be calculating how many times something was sighted, a toadfish was sighted at this reef. Put the answer there, and then this reef here, the answer there. Okay, and then over here, does it say anything for the rest of the rows? I think it did. Right, there you go. Rows 35 onwards show the details of all sightings for this week. Okay, so this is 1 week's worth of data. So if we look here from the 4th of the 2nd, 2024, all the way to the 10th of the 2nd, 2024. So that's 1 week's worth of data. And this is when something was sighted. The name, I'm thinking that's going to be the diver's name. Here we're going to have the type of diver. Remember, we've got this information here. The type of diver, there's the name, and that's the type of diver and how many years they've been diving. So that's going to be a lookup function here. And then here we've got the reef, when something was sighted. So when a toadfish was sighted, if there was photographic evidence, and if there was GPS evidence. So up here, the number of sightings, that's probably going to be a count function, count how many sightings they were here, just simply a count A, for example. Here, number of sightings with photograph. So I only want the ones where these have got a yes in. So that's going to be a COUNTIF. Number of sightings with photo and GPS. So I want photo and GPS. So that has to be yes and that has to be yes. So that's going to be a COUNTIFS function, more than likely. Can you see how much time I'm taking to analyze all this? This gives me a good understanding of what's going on. Don't be in a rush to start answering questions. The better picture you have, the better it is for you. And then here we've got number of sightings in that reef. Okay, so we're going to be doing a count if that is reef name based on the reef. So we need to match there. And then it will be whether there's photographic or GPS or both. All right, I've got a good understanding of what's going on now. It looks like there's a lookup function and a few count and COUNTIFs or COUNTIF functions. So let's get started with this paper. Well, now that we've got a good understanding of it, it should be pretty straightforward. So let's move on. Okay, so over here, first part we said we want to put automated place your name, center number, and candidate number left aligned in the footer. So I'm going to go to view, page break view, actually page layout view, and then in the footer, I'm going to add details, and then so that's on the left. left aligned in the footer, and place automated file name with no file path on the right in the footer. So over here, if I go to my header and footer, it should have the file name, only the file name, no file path, name, automated file name with no file path there, and save this as splendid underscore followed by. Okay, so go back, click over here, go back to view, normal, click inside there, file, save as. We're going to save this as an Excel workbook, and we're going to save that as splendid CY1271234. Don't forget the underscores. Remember, you have to put everything it tells you. Click on save. There we go. And just to check, I'm going to press Control P to go into print preview. There's my details at the bottom there. And here is the file name with the extension. Great. Cancel that. Let's go back. Okay, so now let's move on. Place a replicable formula in cell C35 to look up the type of diver using their name and the external file that for the array. Replicate this formula for all divers. So that's the VLOOKUP. So C35, that's what we already figured out. So I'm just going to start from here. I'm going to start with an equals to VLOOKUP, open bracket. So what I'm going to be looking up is the name, that one. I don't want to put that as an absolute reference. So I'm going to leave that as a relative reference. I'm going to put the dollar signs, comma, because I want that to move down. As I copy this formula down, I want that to move. Now I'm going to go to my other file. I'm going to select from here, because it's the name it's going to look up and the type, I need to select all of this. Remember, the lookup column is always the first column, so it's going to be looking up the name in the first column, and I want to get the answer from column 3. 1, 2, 3. So my column is, I'm going to press comma there. Now at the top, you can see it's already added absolute references for this cell range. You can see the dollar signs for the cell range A2 to C51. Then the column index, so the return column is going to be column 3 because I want the answer to be from here, comma, and then finally I want this to be an exact match, so I want to make sure it finds the exact name before it returns something. And that's it. So let's just expand that a bit, and there we go. And now I'm just going to double click here, and it should put all of these. Now what I'm going to do, let's just double click between the two columns, make sure everything fits. Now I'm going to check one of these. So I'm just going to check find Gustavo and just make sure that he is a marine biologist. There he is there. And yes, he is a marine biologist. So that looks like it's working fine. Okay, so now we're going to go over here. So we've done number 2. So that was 7 marks. Wow. 1 VLOOKUP, 7 marks. Place in cell B3 a formula to count the total number of sightings for a 7-day period. So that's only 2 marks. So this is going to be a simple formula, more than likely. So in B3, up here, we want a formula which is going to count how many sightings there were. Well, when we read the scenario, we read everything, we saw that from row 35 onwards is the number of sightings for a 7-day period. So I can do a simple count a function on this column or this column or this column or even this column, because all of these columns have got something inside. I want to count how many of these columns have something inside them, because that will be the count of sightings. So from here, I'm just going to do an equals to count a, open brackets. I'm just going to scroll down and select that column there. Do I need absolute references? No, because I'm not going to be replicating this formula. But well, let's just leave it there. I do like using absolute references to make sure nothing moves by accident. But let's just press enter, and my result is 41. Okay, let's jump over here. Okay, so we've done number 3. Let's go to number 4. Place in cell B4 a formula to count the total number of sightings, okay, for a 7-day period where a photograph was taken. All right. So now we can't use a count a function here because that will count all of them, including the ones which is no. So I need to use a count if and only return a count if what's inside this section here in the photographic evidence it has the word yes. So that's going to be a COUNTIF function. So let's go and do that now. Equals to COUNTIF, open bracket. So first I want my range. My range is going to be all of this data here. So that's the range it's going to be looking up. I'm going to press F4 because I want these to be absolute references just in case something moves. You don't have to because you're not replicating this, comma, and my criteria is going to be speech marks, yes. So I only want to return a count if what's inside that range, when it looks through, it matches the word yes. And I get 34 sightings with photographic evidence. Okay, let's do a quick save. Okay. All right, now we can jump over to our question paper. Right, number 5, place in cell B5 a formula to count the total number of sightings for a 7-day period where photograph was taken that held the GPS location of the fish. So here I've got 2 criteria. 2 criteria means I can't use a COUNTIF function because COUNTIF is only 1 criteria. COUNTIFs will check multiple criteria and it ANDs the criteria together. It doesn't OR them. So it's not this or this. It's going to AND them. So I'm going to do this. Equals to COUNTIFs. I'm going to open the bracket and my criteria range 1. So the first thing I need to check is, was there photographic evidence? So I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to again put everything as an absolute reference, comma, speech marks, yes. Oops. And then that's my first criteria, comma. Now I want my criteria range for the next criteria or the next thing that I'm going to be checking. So that's going to be if there was GPS location recorded as well. So that's going to be my range for the next part of the criteria. I'm going to use absolute references again. You don't have to because you're not going to be replicating this. I'm just pressing F4 out of habit because in case I do move something, I'm going to copy something. It's going to keep that range fixed, but you don't have to. Probably best if you don't, I would suppose. So let's just get rid of that. Let's get rid of all of that. Oh, there's my cat walking by. Do you want to say hello? Yeah, let's say hello. So this is Leslie. This is my cat. She keeps me company while I'm making these videos. Say hello. Okay, there she is. All right, you sit there like a good girl. Right, now then, so actually I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'll do the same thing just for making it a bit easier to read as well, comma. And then my criteria is going to be if the if the GPS data has been recorded. So I'm just going to put here yes and close the bracket. So here I've got 2 criteria. The first one is based on this range of cells, photographic evidence, and to check if it's yes. And the next one, if this range here, the GPS, and if there's a yes in there. And only if both of them have a yes will it give a result, and that gives me a result of 30. So number six, place a replicable formula in cell B9 to display the number of sightings at this reef where a photograph with GPS was taken. Replicate this formula for each reef. Okay, so that means here that I need to make sure here that I'm going to count how many sightings of the toadfish there were at this particular reef, and there must also be photographic and GPS location, photographic evidence and GPS location. So there's 3 criteria here. One, the one has to be true is the location, the reef. 2, there has to be a yes for the photographic evidence. And 3, there has to be a yes for the GPS location recording. So again, that's COUNTIFs, but with 3 criteria. So let's begin. COUNTIFs. The first range is going to be the name of the reef. So here is the reef names. So we only want to count where the reef name in that area. So I'm going to press F4 here because now it has to be absolute reference because I'm going to be copying this formula down and I don't want that range of cells to move down with me. Okay, comma, and the criteria that I'm looking for in this range for it to be valid is it has to match whatever's inside this cell here, inside A9. So it's only going to return with one criteria, how many times it sees Maracaibo in this range of cells, that rename, comma. The next criteria that has to be true is in this range of cells here. It has to have in this range of cells how many times we also match. So let's press F4 again, it has to be fixed. And it has the word yes, comma, and then the last criteria that must be matched is going to be if there's photographic evidence. So that's going to be this one here. So we need to select that range of cells and how many times in that range of cells do we see, so make that absolute reference, comma, we see again the word yes, and close the brackets. So you can see here I've used absolute references for the ranges and relative reference for this first one here because I want this one here, the ref name, to copy downwards, but I don't want the ranges to copy downwards. So let's press enter, and I only get one here, and let's just copy that down because it has to be replicable. So we can see here, let's just take one of these ones here, Santa Rosa Shallows, and let's just do a quick double check. So I only want where Santa Rosa Shallows is true, and there's photographic evidence and GPS. So here's one. So this one doesn't count. Can you see? It's got Santa Rosa Shallows, a yes here, but a no here. So it's not going to count that one. Let's keep going. That one's it's going to count. That's 1. 2. You see that there? It's a yes, yes, and it's for Santa Rosa Shallows. 2. 3. So there are 4 sightings at Santa Rosa Shallows, but only 3 of those have photograph and GPS location. And that's correct, 3 of them. So I know that's worked. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so format the top of your spreadsheet so it looks like this. Now, by the top, I'm assuming up to the point just before it starts displaying all the sightings. So from here, let's just have a quick look. I'm just going to go over this very briefly, and then I'll just do everything in one shot in my spreadsheet. So it says here A1 to B1 and B7 to B8 are merged. So that's that part here, and then that part there. Here we can see we've got 2 rows which are smaller in height, row 2 and row 6. These are aligned to the right, these are center aligned, aligned to the right. Here we've got center alignment, no borders, and just be very, very careful with the borders here. So I'll just go and do this now. So let's just open that up. So the first thing is I'm going to select A1 to B1, merge that, merge and center, B7 to B8, merge and center. That it says at the bottom, the font size of row 1 to be 22 points. So we're just going to make that 22. Doesn't say anything about bold. This is center aligned, both horizontally and vertically. So we're just going to put that there. And it's also text wrapped. So I'm just going to click on my alignment up here, click on the properties there, and just choose wrap text, click OK. Now, to break the line, just like you would do a soft breaking word, you use Shift and Enter. Well, in Excel, what you're going to do, you're going to use Alt and Enter. So I'm just going to delete that space there, and then hold Alt and Enter. Okay, and just click over here, and there we go. That's broken that line. Next thing I'm going to start looking at, so these 2 here, these are center aligned and bold. These are all right aligned, so that's right aligned, and all of these are going to be right aligned. And not up to here, only the top part it said. There we go. These are all center aligned. Oops, up to there. Great. And Yep, that looks good. So let's just go for the borders. So I've got a border there. So number 2 we said is slightly smaller. Number 6 is slightly smaller. Just look at in the screenshot. You can see how much of the 2 and how much of the 6 in the question paper should be visible. So that should have borders. That should have borders. That one has. That one has. And then everything else down here has. So I'm using the control button to do multiple selections. You can do this one by one. You don't have to do it like this. And then I'm just going to click on all borders. This one doesn't have borders there, but it does have on the left and the right. So I am going to select all of this again, up to there, and just put the outside border as well. And that just gives it the outside borders here. So you can see that there. So we've got the outside borders of these ones, but no inside border. Okay, and then I've got an outside border on all of that. And that looks good. I think that's fine. I think that's bold as well. So I'm just going to make that bold. If it's not bold, and you do make it bold, it shouldn't be a problem. But from what I can see, it is bold. That is kind of thicker than normal. Yep, that's definitely bold. And I think everything else there is correct. Now, again, I don't have much time to play around with this or to check this because I don't want to waste your time. But that's the process. So let's go and continue. Now, so it says save the font size of row 1 to 22 points. We've done save your spreadsheet. Then, so let's just go do a quick save as well. That's a good idea. File, save. Okay. Now, select only cells A1 to C75 and print these cells with the formula displayed. Make sure the printout is in landscape orientation. The row and column headings are displayed. The contents of these are fully visible. A1 to C75. So the first thing that I'm going to do is this. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go to my formula ribbon at the top. I'm going to choose here, show formulas. And because I've got everything selected, I'm going to double click between 2 columns. And that's going to adjust the size of all my columns to make sure everything's displayed. Now, can you see that is not fully displayed? So just double click there. There we go. And then I'm just going to go down and make sure everything is displayed. So there's my VLOOKUP function. Yep, everything is displayed. So I'm just going to make that big. So I want to select from A1 to C75. So click on A1, scroll down, hold the shift button and click on C75. And that selects that range of cells there. Now I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm just going to use my PDF printer here. First step is I'm going to go to Landscape. Now I can see this is 6 pages. This is page 1 of 6. That's fine. It doesn't matter how many pages there are. So I'm just going to go to Page Setup, go to Sheet, and make sure that the row and column headings are visible. There they are, and they can see that they are. All my formulas are visible. Go through the pages, make sure everything's visible. Now, what I am going to do, though, is I'm thinking that if I reduce the margins, now, again, you don't have to do this. This is just me. I think 6 pages is a bit much. So I'm just going to go to a margin and reduce that down to 0.8 and the top and bottom to 0.9. Click OK. Okay, still not there. And I'm just going to do the scaling, custom scaling. I'm going to take it down to 90%. Oh, and that's taken me down to 4 pages. I prefer that, to be honest. Now, again, you don't have to. This is perfectly readable. So it's not too small. So I'm just going to do that. It just makes it easier for the examiner to see everything. But again, you don't have to do that step. So then you would just simply print that on your printer. I'm not going to print it. Okay, now we can go back. So that's number 8. Let's go to number 9. Select rows 1 to 8 inclusive and only rows between 9 and 32 where a citing took place. Select rows 1 to 8. So let's go have a look first over here. 1 to 8 is that one, 1 to 8. So I only want that. And only rows between 9 and 32 from here to here. Okay, where a citing took place. All right. So all of that. Take a screenshot of the method used to select these rows between 9 and 32. Place this screenshot in your evidence document. Print the selection showing the values. Make sure the printout fits on a single page. The printout is in portrait onto it. Right, so I want to do a filter here more than likely, and I want a screenshot of that filter. So I'm just going to go back to normal view. So get rid of show formulas. So formula bar, remove show formulas. Click on that top left corner. Double click between two so it shows everything. So basically what it wants me here to filter this only to show where sightings were occurred. So all the ones where sightings occurred are the ones that have got a number greater than 0. So there's two ways of doing this from what I can understand. So I'm just going to select either both of these or just this one. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go to data, filter. That's going to add the little filter button here for me. And if I just get rid of that, let's just do that, get rid of the 0. Okay, there you go. Can you see it filters over? But it wants a screenshot of how you did that selection. So I can take this as a screenshot. So here's my screenshot. Now, as soon as I click away, unfortunately, the screenshot vanishes. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either press the Windows Shift and S, or what I do, I just put a quick delay of a, let's say, 3-second delay, take new, click on that, and just wait. 1, 2, 3, there it is. And I can take that screenshot. Okay, and that's perfect for my purpose. The other way, so I'm just going to go add that in there. This is number 9, so question 9. Okay, the other way you can do this is, well, anything which is greater than 0. So I could, instead of doing that, select all, do a number filter, greater than is greater than 0. I prefer this method, I think, now. So let's just have a look, click OK. There you go, that's worked. Now, if I open that up, greater than, there you go. Now, what I can do is take a screenshot like this, taking all of that. So it actually shows my results as well and how I did that. And I'm just going to add both of them there. You're only going to add one, but this is just for the tutorial. So this or this is fine, okay? Because they can see your selection now. Okay, then it says print this selection showing the values. Make sure the printout fits on a single page. The printout is in portrait orientation. The row and column headings are displayed. The contents of all cells in the selected rows are fully visible. So now I need to go back. So what I want is just get rid of that. Click OK there. Now it says it wanted from rows 1 to 8 inclusive and only from 9 to 30. So I'm going to select that. Okay, and then I'm going to go to Control P. There's my selection. Okay, but this is everything. I need to change, instead of active sheet, I want print selection. So there's my selection, 1 to 8, and then only the rows from 9 to 32 which have something in there. There we go. Okay, the printout fits on a single page wide, portrait orientation, so change that to portrait. The row and column headings are displayed. They are displayed. And the contents of the cells are fully visible. They are. I'm just going to go to my custom scaling and get rid of that because I changed it to 90% before. I'm just going to take it to 100. And there you go. I can print that. That shows the results of what I had. So I'm not going to print it. You just select your correct printer and print that. You're fine. Great. Let's go back. All right, so I think we finished. There you go. It says here, total 35 points. So that's the spreadsheet part finished. So it really was all count functions and the VLOOKUP. Okay, but you needed quite a bit of that analyzing the data sets that you've got and making sure you understand what it's asking you to do. So let's move on with the file management. So it says here, create a new folder called J2431, locate only the files below these ones here and store them in that folder. Then it says display the contents of this folder, showing the folder name, all file names, file extensions, file sizes, and image dimensions. Okay, let's go do that now. Okay, so here's my folder. I'm just going to right click, new folder. We're going to call that, is it in small letters? Yep, small letters, J2431. And then I want to find contact, JPEG, location, logo, and splendid JPEGs. So I want, let's just do this by type. Contact, location, splendid, and logo. Logo is a PNG. So I'm just going to right click, drag these into that folder and choose copy. And then I want style.css and text. So I want the style, that one. So drag that one, copy, and the text file, there it is there. I'm just going to right click, copy that one. Actually, just make it bigger. There we go. Right click, drag that in there and copy. So if I open this folder, I check what's inside. There we go. And then it says I want to display the contents of this folder. And it should show the folder name, file name, the folder name, the file names, the extensions, file sizes, and image dimensions. So again, your best view for this is going to be the details view. Now we can see here some of the things. So we've got the file name, we've got the date, we've got the type and the size. But what I want is the extensions and the image dimensions. So again, to do this, we're going to right click on any one of these headings up here. Doesn't matter which. Right click. We're going to go to more. And then from here, we can find dimensions. Let's just find that one. The dimensions. Click it, click OK. There it is there. Can you see it shows you the image dimensions for the pictures? And then I also want the file extensions. So again, I'm going to right click, more, go down to the file extensions. Now, if you're not sure what's extensions or file extensions, if you can't find it in EX extension, it's not there. Okay, so go down to file. So if you can't remember, that's there it is, file extension, click OK. And here it's got the extension type, it's got the dimensions, I've got, again, the type here, the date. If there's any of these that you don't want, again, if you right click, you can just remove them. But if you've got more, it doesn't matter. So next step, I'm going to take a quick screenshot. I need to make sure I take all of that there. So I need to make sure that my file name up here is visible. Okay, that's the folder name and all the data. So the folder name has to be there as well. I'm going to go to my evidence document, call this Q10, question 10, and place that there. And if it goes on the next page, make sure you put your question 10, which details what question. Actually, let's just, I think I can fit that into one. So let's just make that just a tad smaller. Again, guys, this is dark mode. Please don't use dark mode. Only use, it doesn't print well. But if you do use dark mode, make sure it's clearly, all the data is clearly visible. All right. In my experience, dark mode doesn't print very well. Okay, create a web page called splendid.html and save this in your J2431 folder. This web page must be created using a single table and work in all browsers. The table must fit 85% of the browser window and have a structure as shown in this diagram. Now, this is, again, a very simple structure, but even if it's a complicated one, the way to identify, again, I'm going to say this again and again and again, how many rows and columns, simply extend all the lines. And once you do that, you'll have a clear view of how many rows and columns you need to recreate that table. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, 2 columns. Okay, so let's just delete all of that. So 5 rows, 2 columns. Let's go down. Each table is identified with a letter. The cell content shown in the diagram must not appear on the final web page. Table borders must not appear on the final web page. Now, you can add borders just so you can see what it is that you're doing and then remove them. That's normally what I do, but you have to remember to remove those borders if you do add them. All right, and here we've got cell A has a height of 20% and B has a width of 60%. All right, so let's get started. Now, guys, I know I get a lot of requests, and I'm really sorry. I'm not an expert in web expression. I do use Dreamweaver. Now, I have said to a lot of you that have posted to me and requested that I do paper 3 or the HTML version with web expression. I don't have web expression. Someone actually kindly sent me a video that they recorded themselves on, how to get web expression and install it, so I can do the tutorials. Now, what I am going to do when I have a bit of time, but I don't know when I will have that time, is I will study a little bit of the web expression, and hopefully I'll be able to create a video which covers the requirements for the examination using web expression. But I'm not making any promises. As soon as I have the time, because I don't want to just put something out there just to throw another video on YouTube. I have to be able to produce a quality tutorial. And if I can't do that with something that I don't use, then I'm not going to do it. All right, so with Dreamweaver, first step is I'm going to go to File, New, HTML, Create. Next step, File, Save As. Make sure I find my folder where I have everything inside. So I should have everything here, there, and I'm going to put this in my J2431 folder, and it should be called, where are we? Splendid.htm. So I'm just going to call that Splendid with all small letters, and there we go. All right, first step, we're going to create this table, 5 rows, 2 columns. Now, again, I'm just going to adjust that. The first thing you need to do when you start something in Dreamweaver, you start a new HTML page, it has the insertion point at the top. So if I create the table now, it's going to add it up here, and it won't display. So I need to click inside the WYSIWYG, this area here. That's going to move my insertion point now. You can see in the body, in that body tag. So whatever I add now will be seen. Okay, so next step, I'm going to go into Insert Table. There it is. And I want 5 rows, 2 columns. I want it to be 85%. Border thickness 0. So I'm not going to put the border thickness now. It's a small table, and I think I could probably be fine without the border thickness. And just in case I do forget, I'm not going to add the borders. Click OK, and there's my table. Now, the first step is I'm going to merge. So if we have a look over here, we're going to merge the cells in row 1, and then these 2 here and these 2 here to get this, and then we're going to put the height and the width. Okay, so first step is we're going to select these 2 cells here. Now down in the properties, I can click on the merge button down here, and then I'm going to select these 2. The other way to merge is after you select it, right click, table, merge cells. Again, make your selection, right click, table, merge cells. So either method is fine. Now I'm going to click on this tab in this row up here in that TD. So over here in the code, I can see there's my TD. I need to click inside the TD chevron there. I don't want to be outside because this is where the data goes. So I want in the properties, I want to put another property for the TD. I'm going to press space, and I'm going to put height for this one. Height equals to speech marks 85%. Close the speech marks. And then I can click over here. And then I want in the B column, in the B cell, this one here, I want a width of 60. So again, I want to go inside the TD set chevron there, and I'm going to put width equals to speech marks 60. And click in here. And there you can see it's automatically adjusted it to be 60%. Now the height, you won't see any difference because really the height is dependent upon the overall table after you put the content in. So what you want to make sure is you have this code here. That's what's important. All right, so let's go back. So we've done the table. Right, each table cell is identified with a letter. So we've done that, right. Set the title of the web page to Splendid Toadfish. So let me just get rid of that so I can copy that, saves me time. See, all right, so we want the title of the page. So up here where you got title, it's part of the meta tags. Now, I do have a tutorial on the meta tags. Okay, all the meta tags that you need for the syllabus. I've got a tutorial for that. So go check my playlists, go to the Dreamweaver playlist, even if you're using web expression, because it's all coding. It makes no difference whether you're using web expression or Dreamweaver. Go look at that tutorial on the meta tags because it covers all the ones that you need. Okay, so there's my title, Splendid Toadfish. Right, entering cell A, the text that, and then in C, that. Okay, so let's just go do that now. So in cell A, I'm just going to paste that in there. And then in cell C, you just copy it. C is that cell there. I'm going to paste that. And then it says enter in cell A the text. All right, we've done that. We've done that. Set the text in cells A and C as style H1. So I'm going to select that, change the format to heading 1. Now you can actually use the H1 tags and add them manually. That's fine. So we can do that for this one. So there it is, Splendid Toadfish. And all I have to do from that is just put here, open the chevron, H1, close that chevron, and then afterwards, after the text, I'm going to put, oh, it's added the open and the close together for me. So I'm just going to get rid of that one. There we go, and just put that there. So we open the H1 and then we type the close or the switch H1 there. Click over here and there we go. Okay, so again, if you do using coding, it really doesn't matter which application you're using. Right, entering G, the text created by, followed by, so your name, center number, and candidate number. Set it as style 2. So G is this bottom one here, created by. Okay, and I'm going to select that and make that heading 2. All right. Don't worry if it's wrapping around. By the time you finish, you'll see what's happening. I'm just going to do a quick save. And I'm also going to open my folder and open this web page because I'm going to be viewing my web page as I go along non-stop. Okay. So everything that I'm adding, I'm going to be refreshing this to make sure what I'm doing is actually working. All right, let's go back. So we've done that. We've done that. Number 14. Number 15. Right. In cell B, add the image of the splendid.jpg. D, the contact, and F, the location. All right. So in B, I want the splendid. So B is this one. Insert image. It should open the folder where I am. And I want the splendid fish. There it is. Okay. And D, the image contact. So D is that one there. So insert image. Now, this is a bit messy here for me because I've actually got my screen zoomed in, but doesn't matter. I'll be fine. There we go. And then in F, the location. So F is the second to last. Oh, did I do that in the wrong place? Let me have a look. D is contact. Yeah, that should be a bit further up. So let's just delete that one. Put that one in there. Insert image contact. And then here we want the location. Insert image location. All right. So again, you can see how messy this is looking, or it's very, very large because my screen is zoomed in, but that's fine. You probably have something similar when you're working. All right, now then, add appropriate alternate text to all images. So I'm going to click on this image here. Go to the alternate text at the bottom. I'm going to say image of a toad fish. It's one word, toad fish. Here I'm going to put button image of contact us. And here I'm going to put button image of location. Okay. Now, I don't know whether we're going to have to add links to this or not, but we'll see as we go along. All right, let's move on. Place in cell E the text from the file J2431 text. So I'm going to go over here, go to my folder, that one there. There's my text. Let me just drag it up to the other window. Sec. So I'm just going to Control A, Control C, and let's go over here, and we're going to add that in there. Okay, and it says, set each of these 3 paragraphs into paragraph style. I think it's already in paragraph, so let's have a look. So if I triple click here, there you go, it selects that paragraph. Can you see, there's the P tag, and that P tag closes there, where it says there then, and that's that part there. So that's already, and then we get the next paragraph, which is that one, and that closes down there. Oh no, that's the other one. It closes there. So there you go. I've got 3 paragraphs, and I can check if it's a paragraph easily simply by clicking 3 times. 1, 2, 3, it selects a paragraph. 1, 2, 3, selects a paragraph. 1, 2, 3, selects a paragraph. And I want all of these to be the paragraph style. So I'm going to select these, and they're already in the paragraph style anyway. Good. So that works. Quick save, Control S to save. I'm just going to open up my browser and do a refresh. And there you go, my window. Oh, look at that. There you go. Okay, so nothing's adjusting yet, but there's everything that I've got already. Let me just zoom that out. So that looks okay. All right, so let's move on. Now, attach the style sheet J2431 style to your web page. Do not edit this style sheet. Okay, number of ways to add the style sheet. I always go to class, attach style sheet, but you could also go to file, attach style sheet, whichever ones you prefer. Open that, and here's my style sheet. Click OK, and there it is. You see, added that blue background. If I go to the top, I should now see there's my style sheet that's been added up here in the meta tags. Can you see that there? There's my style sheet. We're here, number 19, create a new style sheet so that. Now, whenever it tells me to create a new style sheet, the first thing I do is have a quick read through, see what the file name of it should be saved as. So how am I going to save the style sheet? And then I'm going to see if I'm going to attach it, if it wants me to attach it. And if it does, then what I'm going to do, as soon as I create it, I attach it before I complete it. And that way I will be able to see everything that I'm doing. I'm going to be checking myself and make sure it's working. So let's do that here as well. The file J2431 logo PNG is a single background image in the top left corner of the window. Okay. The table is right aligned with the browser window. All right. H1 and H2 and the paragraph style use this font. So I'm going to do some efficient programming techniques there. H1 and H2 and the paragraph style are bold, so I can add all of these together. Yeah. The paragraph style is fully justified, so only that one. Whereas these ones, H1, H2, and paragraph, they're going to be grouped together. Your name, center number, and candidate number set as a comment at the top of the style sheet. Make sure that your style sheet contains no HTML. Right, save this style sheet in your J2431 folder in Cascading Style Sheet with this name. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. As soon as I create my style sheet, I'm going to save that. And then it says attach this style sheet to your web page so that it is higher priority than the one attached in step 18. So I'm going to create it, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to attach it before I do any of those styles. Let's go ahead. File, new, CSS, create, file, save as, give it the name it wants. And the name it wants is J2431, 2, 4, 3, 1, CSS, 2, all small letters. Oh, let's just get rid of the untitled. Okay, underscore CY127 underscore 1234. Right, and now that I've done that and I've said I'm going to go to my HTML web page, I'm going to go to File, Attach Style Sheet, and I'm also going to attach that second one. There it is there. Click OK. And now if I just expand that window, make it a bit easier, we can see up here in the meta tags, I have two style sheets. This one here and this one here. Okay. Now, this one is after the first one. So the first one I added is on line 6. The second one I added is on line 7. The one that has highest priority is the one that comes last. Why? If this style sheet says that the text should be red, and then this one says that the text should be blue, then the text will be resulting blue, because because it's cascading. It executes the code line by line. So the first line that will be executed is number 6, saying that the text should be red, and then it executes line number 7, which says the text should be blue. So the last command was blue. So what comes last is highest priority. Okay, so that's fine. I don't need to make a change. If it said that it wanted this style sheet to be highest priority, then I will cut this and I will paste it underneath that one. Okay, but I don't have to. So I'm just going to do a quick save, file save. I'm going to open up my web page, reload that, and you can see there's my style sheet for the one that it gave me, and it's got everything there. So I'm going to be using this to be testing my new style sheet. All right, so here's my style sheet. Let's see what I have to create. So the file J24 logo is placed as a single background image in the top left corner of the window. All right. So first step, I'm going to go to Windows, CSS Designer to add my designer. I'm going to click on the plus sign here for the selectors, and I want to choose the body because I want the image to go in the body tag, because the image is going to be in the background. With the body, with my cursor in the body tag, I can now go to properties, go to the background image, and I can simply select my image. So where I've got my image, click on the little folder here, and I want the logo, that one there. Click OK. Next, I don't want this logo to be repeated. So for background repeat, I'm going to click no repeat. Okay. Let's just have a look and see what that looks like now. So if I go to File Save and reload my page. So that's right there in the middle. So let's go back. So what we can see now with our inside the body tag here, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the image and we're going to look at the background position. Okay, so we've added the image. We've said that it's no repeat, but we're going to look at the background position. Now, this gets a bit tricky sometimes when you don't know what it is. So I'm just going to click on one of these here and press, I don't know, give it, let's say a 10. I'll make it 100 and press enter. And that adds my background position. Okay. Now, if you don't know which one is for left and right, which one's for up and down, I've just changed one of these values. I'm going to press Control S, go here, and then just reload and see what happens. So that just puts that right at the top right. So what I always do, I'm going to start from 0, and just so that you know, 0, 0 is always top left. Okay. 0 and 0, so 0 left and right and 0 top and bottom is the top left corner. So if we have a look here now and I change this to 0, 0, Control S, and then view that, there it is, top left corner. Okay, now if you're not sure what I did there and how that works, then you could just mess around with these numbers a little bit. So if I make that 30, Control S, and then refresh, you can see that's moving that on the horizontal axis. And if I go back and change this to make that 0 and make that 30, that's going to move it down. So 00 reference point is, there you go, it's moved it down there, can you see? So that's basically 00 is there. So if you wanted it right, then you put it 100 because you don't want it down. And you can mess around with that until you figure it out. So I want that set to 0. Okay, next. The table width is right aligned with the browser window. So over here, I want to go to my table. So I'm going to add a selector, table. And now what I need to understand is how much is that width going to be? Because if my table is going to be on the right-hand side of the window, then that means I have a margin, and that margin is going to be on the left. So how much margin do I have? Well, if we remember, if we go back and see, our table, when we designed it, was 85% of the browser window. So what does that mean? That basically means whatever the size of your browser window is, however big your, let's say, Chrome or Edge, whatever it is you're using, however wide that is, your table is taking up 85% of it. That leaves 15% of that window as a margin. We want to assign that 15% to the left-hand side, so it pushes our table to the right-hand side. Okay, so to do that, after I've added my table, I want to make sure I'm in the layout section here. And for the left margin, I'm going to change it to percentage. And I'm going to make that 15. Press enter, save. And now if we have a look, you can see right now my table is aligned to the left over there. Okay, and now when I reload, there you go. It has pushed my table to the right-hand side. So 85% of this width here, of this window, so as you can see, as I adjust this window, my margin is also changing as well. So if I make it bigger, my margin gets bigger. Okay. 85% is the table, and 15% of this window width is the margin, putting it to the left. Now, what would happen if I did this? If I made my margin bigger, let's say I made it 50%, that means that my margin on the left is 50% of the window. My table is 85% of the window. That means I have a total web page width of 135%. So the width is bigger than the browser window. So it's going to add a horizontal scroll bar at the bottom. Let's have a look. Control S. Now, if I reload this, can you see now I have a horizontal scroll bar? If I move it all the way to the left, right here where my mouse is right here now, that's half of the window width. And you can see half of the window width is the margin, 50%. And then I've got 85% of the window being my table. Okay, so just so you understand why I chose 15%. So since my table is 85, I've got 15% left over. Control S. And that makes it the window width without any horizontal scroll bar. Great, let's move on. We are up to here. Now, next one, H1, H2, and paragraph style used. Times, font times New Roman if times is not available, and the browser's default serif if neither of these fonts are available. And then it says H1, H2, and paragraph style are bold. So let's go do that now. So here I'm just going to add a tag. I'm just going to put the H1 tag straight away. I can also put the .H2 and the P at the same time. It doesn't matter. I can add them manually here. That's fine. So I'm just going to go to my text here, font family. I'm just going to choose any one that has, what's it got at the end? Serif. I'm just going to choose, let's say this one. So the first one it wants is times. So I've got times here already. There it is. If I didn't, I just type. It doesn't have a space, so you just type the word, no speech marks. The next one is Times New Roman. This font name has got spaces. This is why it's contained in speech marks. And the last one is serif. And again, serif is one word, so no speech marks. So if Times is available, it uses that one. If it's not, it will use Times New Roman. And if that's not, it's going to use the default serif font. Okay, and then I want the font style sorry, the weight to be bold for all of them. Great. Let's just do a quick save, Control S, and let's test this. I always check everything when I make it. There we go. So that now is a serif font. That is a serif font. Good. And they are bold. Great. Fine. The paragraph style is fully justified. So I'm going to add another tag here, the P tag. And that's going to be that one there. I want the alignment. They're justified. Again, save, Control S, reload this, make sure. So this is now center aligned, this text here. So as soon as I reload, it's justified. Perfect. Okay, your name, center number, and candidate number are set as a comment at the top of the style sheet. So let's just jump over here. Now, the comment is always at the top. It's got a default comment at the top. It's right there. So you just need to change what's inside that slash star star slash. Okay, and if you do forget or you don't have that, just start any new style sheet in Dreamweaver, and at the top of that new style sheet, you will have it there. You can copy, paste it, and then close that style sheet. What you have to make sure of, though, is that you make sure you close that //. Otherwise, the whole thing becomes a comment, and it won't read anything in your style sheet. Okay, so let's just undo that and save that. Now we've saved. I'm just going to do a quick reload. There we go. Everything's fine. We're going to jump back to our question paper. Okay, so we've done all of that. Make sure that your style sheet contains no heading. We've done that. Save this style sheet in your J2431 folder and cascade it. We've done that already. We did that at the beginning. Remember, we did that so we can be testing everything. Attach it. Well, we've already attached it. Take a screenshot of your style sheet and place this in your evidence document. Make sure the file name and contents are clearly visible. So let's go take a screenshot. So I'm going to make sure I make, there we go, the name of, there it is. There's the name there. I go add that. So this is question 19. I'm just going to put that there. Q19. There's my screenshot. All right, let's move down. Save your web page. Take a copy of the HTML source and place this in your evidence document. All right. So that makes sense. Without the code, they won't be able to mark anything. So that's question 20. And we go to Dreamweaver. Here's my web page. So I'm just going to click inside the code, Control A, Control C. And I'm just going to paste that in there. Now, this has got double line spacing and things. And I always tell you, I just select it. You don't have to do this. It just makes it easier for the examiner to read. So I'm going to select all of that. Your ICT students. So, just click on the paragraph. Make no spacing after, make it single line spacing, click OK, and that just should fit everything. Let's just see if I can get everything to fit in there on one page. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Okay, I've got one more line, so I'm just going to make that bottom margin a bit bigger. There we go. Make sure everything fits. There we go. Lovely. Right, save. Go back to the question paper. So we've done that. Display your web page in the browser if necessary. Resize it so that all the page can be seen, all the text can be easily read, the address bar is fully visible. Take a screenshot evidence showing your web page in the browser. All right, so let's go open up. I've already got my browser with my, there we go, everything's already open. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the control button on my keyboard and the wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out like this. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out a bit, adjust the size of my window, zoom in a bit more, and just play around. There you go. That's pretty good. That's a perfect screenshot. Why? What is it that I'm trying to show? This, for example, let me do this. That's not a perfect screenshot. Some of it is being cut off. This is not a good screenshot because they won't be able to see the text. Okay, so this here is pretty much a really good screenshot. Everything that they want to see is on there and it's easily readable, and that's what counts. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Now, when I take a screenshot, when you take a screenshot, what you want to do is take a screenshot of your browser window, but slightly bigger than the browser window. New. So I'm going to take outside of the borders so you can show the whole borders And I explain to you why now. This is what the examiners are looking for. First of all, they're looking for this name up here. They're looking for the file path where your file is stored as well. Next, they're looking that this is in the top left corner. They're looking for the 15% margin window here. Okay, and that basically means there's no horizontal scroll bar at the bottom. So this is the window width. If you have a horizontal scroll bar, it means that overall your page width is more than 100%. Then they're looking for the headings with the correct formatting, these ones here. They're looking for your text down here. They're looking for the justify here, and that's basically everything. Okay, so that's your screenshot that you want to take. And I'm just going to add that now into my evidence document. This is also question 20. And I'm going to put that there. And if you want, what you can do is if you want to make it a bit bigger, I'm just going to double click on my picture, go to my text wrap, put that, I don't know, what am I doing? Let's go to here, text wrap, put this in front of text. That will allow you to go beyond the margins, just make that just a little bit bigger, making sure it's nice and readable. Okay, don't go all the way to the edges because then it won't print them. And that's perfect. Save. Now we can go to our question paper. Okay, take a screenshot evidence of your webpage. Right. Task 5, printing the evidence document. That's it. We finished. Okay, so this paper was not really a difficult paper. I think there was the difficulty was mainly in understanding in the Excel what functions you need. There was a lot of COUNTIF and COUNTIFS functions. There was a VLOOKUP, but understanding exactly what they want so that you can determine that it's a COUNTIFS because you've got multiple criteria, photographic evidence and GPS evidence. That was the key element in the Excel file. So taking the time in analyzing the data, reading the scenario really helped me. I was able to breeze through that because I took the time to read it through. And then when I was looking at the spreadsheet and reading the questions, things were clicking. I knew what it meant by photographic evidence. I knew what it meant by GPS because I took the time to analyze it. The VLOOKUP was easy because I saw the data, analyzed it, saw what was in there, and I knew that was the VLOOKUP and it was on the diagrams. Now, with the web page design, I think the difficult part was the understanding of the margins, the understanding of the page width, 85% window, 15% margin. Also, the positioning of the logo in the background was a little bit tricky. You had to understand that you have to put the dimensions in. If you don't put the dimensions for vertical and horizontal alignment of that picture, then it will put it smack bang in the middle of the web page. Okay, so if you want to position it, you have to put those dimensions, and the top left corner is essentially 0, 0. Okay, that's it. If you like this video, you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new, if this was useful to you, you know the drill. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.